Welcome, everybody, to episode 6 of The Final How. And on this week's episode, we kind of have a BS session going on. I have my partner, my brother, the man that taught me how to do what I do, Mr. Bill Sickafus. Bill, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Zach. How are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, man. It's cold out.
Yes.
Wind's blowing. Been a busy fall for you this year, hasn't it?
Yes, that's why everybody thought I was a myth, but I'm here. No.
You're the made-up
fall,
partner.
Spring and fall is always huge for me. So, and being self-employed, as you know, you've done it. It can be overwhelming. So, it's been tough. A tough fall. Had some other tough deal, with the outdoor life as well, with deer hunting and stuff like that. Losing, bucks that you've put lots of time into,
Yeah, you guys were pounded with the EHD down here.
Exactly. I mean, it wiped us out, and it's sad. It really is, man. But you know what? Right. Give them coyotes more food, right?
That's right. So, I guess for anybody to know, you're the one that really got me into coyote hunting from 25 years ago when I was a kid and with the Johnny Stewart cassette tape and the red lights, and that was always your thing, man. Like, you've always...
I tell you, I was self-taught on a lot of things. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all had videos and TV, but back then we didn't have nothing like we have now. I mean, you got podcasts, you've got, YouTube, you've got webisodes. I don't even know what half of it's called, but and I'm going to get into this too, because what got me started and but like you were saying, I was eager to pass it on. Not a lot of people did it around here, especially Indiana.
Right.
So, I mean, I literally remember, like, nobody done it. I thought I was the only one around here really that coyote hunted, and I didn't know nothing. It was, and we've talked about this, Zach. It was I always couldn't wait for, a lot of snow and a full moon. You see, I'm serious. There was no, I didn't, and like I said, we're going to do a lot of these. We're going to talk a lot about this. And one thing that I love about what we're going to do is this is all real. We're just country boys that love to do what we do. These are all opinions. There's nothing. I don't press nothing on anybody.
Yeah.
I never pushed it on you. You're just an outdoorsman too. You took a liking to it, and I'll never forget from the first time that we stood up there and I called that big male in, and he got up on that hill and he howled at you. And I remember, most people's on the gun looking. You were looking at me like, what? And and then I shouldn't say this, and I'm not going to say what we were using, but we had price point shitty equipment. Excuse my French, but it was like we didn't see like we should have. We did. It was crazy, but you still was able to, put the crosshairs on it, knock that. I mean, how big was that male? I mean, he's right here behind me on the wall. But I'm talking, gosh,
it's the only coyote ever. He was 54 pounds.
Yeah. I knew he was 50 plus, but I mean, first coyote, it's almost like, I'm a big walleye fisherman, and I take a lot of people to Lake Erie, and it's like they'll catch their first fish and it's a 10 pounder. And I'm like, what the hell did I do wrong? I love to teach, but I never, but no, it wasn't hard to teach you. You had a knack for it out the gate. You're inquisitive, learned a lot. And it was great to pass it on because nobody did it around here. And you're going to get me rambling here. So everybody, if that's just what I do. I ramble, but, I love everything. The outdoors has been my savior ever since I was young. I remember, my father was killed early. I was 4. So my grandparents, should say my grandfather, I have, a couple people, matter of fact, Kent.
My
so
father-in-law.
so that is Zach's father-in-law, and Zach I've known ever since he was a little boy, and his wife is, I mean, I call her sis because she's my sister. So her father is the one that, I mean, not so much coyote hunting, but just deer hunting or whatever it is. He's a killer, and but he's safe. He's logical, and he's got the passion for it. But
we were raised in the time. This is like the '90s, '80s for you, to where these guys, deer weren't as plentiful, but like coon hunter. Like your grandpa was a major coon hunter.
Had a dog that got third in the world.
Right, and like these guys were just natural born killers.
Yep, didn't matter.
And that's where like how I was taught with Bobby, and you were with your grandpa and Kent and those guys. These guys are just killers. Like they weren't per se like rack hunters or anything else. Like they were just, it was for money. It's how they made their truck payments.
That's right.
It's how they made their house payments.
Back when you could do that. Coon and stuff. Yes, exactly.
It was worth something.
It was.
Coyotes back then around here, was hardly ever seen a coyote around here.
Or if we did, we didn't really, it just wasn't a big thing.
Right. And then all of a sudden they start getting released, and then coyotes are just plentiful, and nobody ever really did it around here. And then it just started transpiring. And that's what I always thought was so cool. Like, what got you into coyote hunting?
Yeah. And not to cut you off, but I know where you're going with this, and I will talk about that in a second. But just like, you even to this day, you're always very appreciative to me. And you know what, the one thing is that was passed on to me. Like I said, I'll get there in a minute, but like I passed on to you. And you know what? I remember there were times that you wouldn't even go out by yourself. You were like, man, you want to come over and go calling? And I'm like, I can't tonight. And you were all bummed about it. And now you could literally go do whatever you wanted with a coyote. You're probably as good, if not better, than I am at using that e-call. And if you remember, before I get into what we were going to talk about, I called all the time. And I remember one night you were like, hey man, let me call. And I'll never forget, we were over on the curb. We called the curb. It's a secret location, so I will not tell GPS coordinates.
Super top secret
No,
location.
but it's just one of our favorite places, and we've killed a lot of dogs. I mean, a lot of dogs just off that corner, that curb. And you called in your first coyote, and just to how excited that you were, man. And then you never stopped. And just like with everything, I've watched you, progress with the deer hunting, the turkey hunting, coyote hunting. You've done wonders with it. You do your homework, you study, and watch you become what you have has been cool. And so I know you want me to talk about this because
that's cool because that's, I give you all the credit to all my success. You had a very successful outfitting business.
Yep.
And helping you guys. You've always been the big buck killer from I was a little kid. You were when you killed that big 12 backer, I think you were 2 years out of the service is when you had that Durango.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You were just fresh off the
First
Marine
big
Corps.
buck, yeah.
You're back. Here's this dude that just go climb hills, do whatever. And I remember him coming in with this big 12. It was like October 3rd, 8th.
Yeah,
it
was quick. It was
wild.
wild.
And I just remember 12-year-old Zach was like, oh, I've always seen this. I've always seen Stay in Pots or Mark Jury kill stuff like this on DVD. And here you are coming in it just took under your wing, and I watched everything growing up. Everything you did, I imitated. What's this? Okay, this, and I need to do this, or this is how I need to call, and I can't thank you enough.
Well, and you know what? And I'm to be thankful too. But I will tell you, man, that's what it's all about right there. And I really want to reiterate that when we're talking about this stuff, and you brought up a good point, because there's one thing, I'm probably going to offend some people, and I don't mean to do that, because like Zach and I have said, this is all opinions. We're not talking facts here. We're talking about stuff that we've done, experience, and things that's worked for us. So here I go. I really, my biggest thing is social media is huge these days. And a lot of these people that are trying to, whether it's deer hunt, coyote hunt, they see people having success with things, and it's so easy to just get on social media and try to ask every question you can about what you need to shoot, how you need to shoot, what call you need to do. I mean, it's endless. What are you wearing? What call? When are you going out? How long are you Listen, get out there and do it yourself. There is no wrong way, man. There is no wrong way. Get out there, get a caller. If you got to watch a couple YouTube videos, there's nothing wrong with that. But the people that don't even get out there and even try it, but want everybody to tell them how to do it, that just doesn't set right with me. Because this guy sitting across from me can tell you, and I can tell you 100%, that not only did I not do this, but I've watched this guy do this. Do your homework and go out and make mistakes, man. You can go out 20 times and not call a dog in. It don't mean you're not doing the right thing. It just means that they're not responding to what you're throwing at them. And that's just bottom line. Because there's times that this guy and I, Zach, will go out. We will go out one night and win a tournament. We love tournaments. We'll win a tournament and we think that we're the best coyote caller and killers this side of the Mississippi. And then the next night go out and I think that we don't know what we're doing. And it's because right time, where you're at, how they're feeling. Animals are the same way, man. They're just like us. They're not always going to do the same thing every time. So I guess that's where I was going with it, man. If I can give any advice, get the basics and go fail. One thing I've always told my kids, you never lose, you just learn, man. And then that leads to winning. So anyway, Zach, thankful to me. And I don't need a thanks. Because I'll tell you. So here we go. I used to, sit, and some of you may have done this too, but I had a show that I used to love to watch. So the first time, I think I was in my 30s, and I was in a deer stand, and I got down out of this deer stand, and I remember I was gonna walk. It was getting dark in the woods. I'm gonna walk out to the edge of the field, and I'm gonna kill me a coyote or kill me a deer. They're out there. I'm gonna walk. I'm not gonna sit in the deer stand anymore. Well, I go out, and lo and behold, there's a coyote out in the field. And I put the hammer on him, 75, 80 yards. And that's what I was intrigued by it. I'm like, man, look at this thing. This thing is like got these big old teeth. This is a predator, man. I know of people that did it and whatever. I want to learn how to do this. How can you hunt these guys like I do deer and turkey and stuff? So I'm going to figure this out. Well, back when the Sportsman's Channel, the Outdoor Channel were the two big things, you didn't have anything but them two. They were the elite. I think there might have been, the Pursuit and stuff that came in after. But when I started doing this stuff, Zach, it was, Sportsman's Channel. And
that's what you had.
Yes,
that's all we had.
And Outdoor Channel. Well, lo and behold, I see this guy calling these coyotes, and gunning them down, and I'm just like, who's this dude? So Les Johnson, Predator Quest, these big old predator eyes. This guy is just mouth calling them. Boom, shotgunning them, throwing the shotgun down, popping up with his rifle, getting the bipods out. I mean, I'm like, who's this? This is my hero right here. I want to know what this guy does. Okay. So, I mean, and here again, I wasn't, going to call him. Hell, I didn't know who he was, where he from, nothing like that. I just knew this dude's killing coyotes, and he's doing it like guys are killing deer. I want to do this.
Not like how we were doing it, sitting up,
Oh yeah,
in the pitch black, going by the moon.
He wasn't waiting for a full moon. This dude was out there calling them, and I'm talking, piling them up, and I'm thinking, so here I am. My wife would be in them. She'd be like, "Babe, are you coming to bed? It's 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I got to work the next day, and I am up watching this guy do this." Right? So, I knew Les. He had no clue who I was, right? But I knew Les. Les Johnson, Predator Quest. Yeah,
right.
I watch every episode of that, right? So, long story short, as Zach said, just being an outdoorsman from the time of 13, 14 years old, my mom leaving for work a half hour before the bus comes. I'm all ready for school. She leaves. I go in, throw the clothes off, put the camo on, run out the back. Lived in the little trailer park, man. I run out back, run across the creek, getting a deer stand, and I'm deer hunting. Knowing darn well, watching that bus go by, knowing darn well when my mom finds out, I'm going to have it was done. But I didn't care. That was I had a lot of, losing my father when I was young and just and living a hard life. That was my outlet, man. That was my savior. The outdoor has always been my savior. It ain't all, we talk about killers, we were talking about grandfather Kent and all them being killers. We're not trying to make them barbaric, but what I'm saying is these guys just did what they loved, man. They didn't put way too much emphasis on everything and sense and clothes. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm just going to say, Kent, Fred, if you ever hear this, you know who I'm talking about. These dudes were flannel shirts, brown Carhartts, and I mean, they would as much as they could. I'm not talking that they would just make them up, but they killed big bucks.
Kent's got more booners in a barrel.
Yes,
just most cut off his head, throwing in a barrel in the corner of his garage than most people I know have mounted on their walls.
Absolutely.
And that dude still supports the same orange Agra gold hat.
Exactly.
The same flannel Carhartt
he
has in the 23 years I've been with his daughter. That's how that dude hunts.
And they're wonderful people, man.
Yeah.
They are red-blooded Americans. Yeah, they're loud. Yeah, they're proud. Yes, they love to drink a beer, but you know something, man. Well, they stick up for what's right.
I think that's kind of along that lines is a big misunderstood thing when people start asking me questions like, well, you got to be a woodsman first. And those guys are woodsmen. They know every squirrel track, every deer trail. They know how the land lies.
Who owns the land.
Right.
I mean.
And I think a lot of that came back from like the days back in the day, coon hunting and all of that, of navigating the timber in these at night with just a flashlight. And a lot of times you didn't even have a light on, you're just navigating it. And it taught them how to be woodsmen. So you apply that to deer hunting, coyote hunting, whatever it is, versus most guys are just like, oh, well, I need to go sit up on a hill and put the wind in my face. Well, yeah, not saying that doesn't work. But how successful you want to be, I think that's along the lines is those guys are just true. That's a lost art in today's world. I think that's my pet peeve.
Yeah.
That's the thing that gets me. It's a lot of these younger guys that are out here starving for knowledge. There's this age gap in there that they're not woodsmen.
No, that's a lost art. They want to kill the coyote. They want to kill the big buck. They want to kill the turkey with a 12-inch beard, but they don't want to do anything. They want someone to tell them where to go, what to do,
right?
And think it's just going to be, And I learned that from being an outfitter. Wow, being an outfitter, it was humbling, man. You had to deal. I met some great people. Again, I mean, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people in the industry. I've been around it, and I'm yet to get to there. But Zach really wanted me, before the end of this, to tell everybody the story because
the story on how you met Les is
it's classic, isn't it?
Oh, dude,
and you can't make it up.
It's just one of those iconic. Like it doesn't get any better. Like that's just you were a man chasing a dream.
Yeah. And
for somebody to tell you, I mean, you're built just like I am. Tell me I can't. Watch.
Yeah, watch out. Zach, I remember you remember, talking about filming. Let's I'll get on back on the coyote thing here in a second. But before I dabbled with the coyote stuff, but it wasn't, like my deer hunting, before I actually, and from killing big deer is what led me to the outfitting. I mean, I had people they were like, man, have you ever thought about doing this? In Indiana, you got the genetics, the bucks you've got, and what you're doing, man, this could be good for you. Nah. I have mixed emotions on why I did it and should have done it or whatnot, to be honest. One thing I don't do is ever regret anything in life because it's made me the person I am. Now, I'm not for everyone. I'll tell you that. I mean, I'm not for everyone. But I will tell you, I'm a great, I'm a protector, a provider to my family and my friends. I'm always there for my people, and my circle's small. And like I said, I've had this. I'm a woodsman, like you said. I mean, that's just bottom line. No matter how you look at it, and so the outfitting and the and this is going to lead to how I'm going to tell you. The end result is I'm best friends with Les Johnson. Lester or Johnson, whatever, however feelings when I call him. But and I'll get into that in a minute, but that guy right there is who I owe a lot to. And the fact that I gained his respect and become friends with him when I'm just little Billy from Wabash, Indiana. And before anybody was doing anything, I remember our local, and I'm sure you'll hear this, time and time again. We'll talk about it because Zach and I plan on, doing these podcasts and eventually maybe, putting them to video. We don't know. We're just, but no matter if it goes anywhere, just for this guy and I to sit back and reflect on memories, man, is good enough for me. And I hope that stuff we talk about, you guys get some laughs out of. I hope that some of the stuff we do, you learn. And no matter what, if you've ever got any questions for either of us, I'm not trying to say I'm not going to help a guy out, but man, if you're not trying to help yourself, it's not going to work. I don't care how much I help you. I can tell you what I use, give you the same camo, the same gun, the same thermal, the same. It doesn't matter. I could give you all of it. If you don't have that drive to be able to go out and fail time and time again to be successful, don't bother. Don't waste your time, man. It's the truth. It just don't even waste your time, because him and I have made more. We could make a whole podcast, probably a few podcasts on
we
just
can make a year's worth of podcasts
just
on mess ups,
errors, just on close calls, just on why'd we do that, from just tons of things. So that's why, if you listen to what we're throwing down to everybody, seriously, man, we're going to have a lot of cool stories. We're going to have a lot of insight. Sometimes we're just going to talk about something else. I don't know. Yes, this is about the coyote hunting world, but man, you want to talk about trial and error. We can share stuff.
Well, it's a lot about life too, and
that's right.
Just on what you struck it, because that strikes hard to me. Is when you say it's the outdoors is your gateway. when things are going bad and life just, we all been there. Life fucking sucks. There are days it just blows. And for the way to get out of it is, I'm going to go sit in a deer stand. I don't know how many times I've gotten up at 5 a.m, went and crawled in my deer stand, sat in that stand all day long, come back here, get warmed up by the fireplace. You show up from your stand, get the coyote stuff out, and go call a tournament all night until 7 a.m. and kill coyotes just for a peace of mind. Just that because we're in control.
Man. It's my drug, man.
Right, we're in control of that situation. It's the best of our abilities. We are in control of that situation. We can get out there, enjoy God's great creation, and just sit back. And we don't do that enough. I'll be the first to admit it.
Exactly.
I'll be the first to admit it. I don't do that enough. Get pissed off because there's only 5 dogs in the back of the truck. When a simple 10 years ago, to kill 5 coyotes a year, you were like, dude, like that's hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now we're
because you only have so many full moons and so many snows. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, we've had to learn. We've had to adapt.
It's just that
we've had to adapt.
It's a podcast about everything, really.
I mean, it's not. I know, but we do. We started this for the coyote deal, and we want to teach you a lot. We want to talk about. Hell, we want to learn. We're still learning. I mean, we're not doing this because we think we know it all. I don't know shit. I mean, don't get me wrong. It reminds me of a saying that my grandfather used to say. Like me, I'll tell you right now, I'm not the best at anything, especially coyote hunting. But I'll tell you something right now. You give me my rifle and you give me, my lucky duck. I mean, I'm just saying that's my call of choice at this point in life. It's done great things for me. I've used Fox Pro 2. Don't have anything bad to say about it. I'm that's what I use right now. That's what I like. But you give me a good call and a gun, and I'm telling you, man, if there's coyotes in the area, I can hang with the best of them. I'm not the best by any means, but we can hang with the best of them. We've proven it. I mean, Zach and I have done leaps and bounds together, and that's a thing, Also, it's crazy because like coyote hunting, even by yourself, is challenging. And then when you put another guy in the mix, and then you're trying, Zach and I mean, oh man, we don't even talk. When we got dogs coming in, you won't even hear a word. Once in a while, Zach, for whatever reason, started doing the calling and loves it. So listen, my fat ass will take that call out there and walk through the slop and put that call out there and retrieve it every time. I don't care. I love to watch him do it. Love watching here, I guess. But I used to do it all the time. And it was just like, And when he started calling, he was like, man, I want to learn. I want to call. I want to do that. And when he got good at it, I said, you got what you wished, buddy. Now he does it. He calls. He's our lead man. He leads the shots. But we had to figure it out. Because I remember I used to lead. And, he just as a partner, a good partner, did you not? You said, man, I think I'm better at leading than I am following. So we switched it up. We figured it out. You won't even hear us say anything. When you watch these videos, once in a while I'll hear him say, maybe, are you ready? But for the most part, we know our role. And it's become a good thing. We went from entering tournaments to donating our money to, winning some, and we get a lot of, but the one thing we have found out, it's all different. Every night's different. Every night is different. Just like deer hunting, it's like anything, man. Every night's different.
Well, yeah, generally in my opinion, within the first 2 hours. So you can say within the first three to four stands, I can tell you how the rest of the night's going to go.
Yep.
Generally. Yes. Now, there has been times where we've set out of here at dark at 6 o'clock, and not called and seen a damn thing till 1 a.m, then all of a sudden it turns on. But it seems like more than any time to where if you make 3 or 4 stands and nothing's happening, you can jump to the next area and jump over here. But
we've learned that.
Right.
Leave the area. And 9 times out of 10, so, hey, tip for the night. If it's not working and you've got the means to do it, go somewhere different. And I'm not talking, 2 miles away. Go to a next county. Call a buddy up. Call somebody that, get out there and ask. Knock on doors. It's not like deer hunting, man. 99.9% of the time, if you ask to deer hunt, it's not happening. If you don't know them, their grandkids hunt, they already got somebody leased. Getting deer ground is, but I'm telling you, coyote hunting, you still have your older fellas that believe that, I don't know, you get talking about groundhogs and I listen, I've got my own opinion and I'm not going to naysay, but I'm just telling you this. If you ever think there's a shortage of coyotes, you got another thing coming. They're not. They're plentiful. And they have litters, multiples. And it's not like they have, like deer, they have 1 or 2. I mean, they can have 4, 5, 6. I'm sure more than that. And you're talking multiple. There's no shortage. No shortage. And like I said, we're gonna do hopefully a lot of these podcasts. We're gonna talk a lot about stuff. We're gonna, once we get rolling, and this is not me, this is Zach's deal, but we've talked about it. We do make a good team. We hunting these north central coyotes in Indiana. So we are going to call audibles, do lots of things, but once we get these podcasts going, we'll try to focus. I know I'm all over the place. It's my first time in, and I love this.
Caller, long time
listener. I'm fired up. I've got, because I do feel like I've got a lot of knowledge, and like I said, I'm not saying it's right, but I'll tell you something right now. It's worked. I'm pretty decorated as far as turkeys, deer, coyotes. I'm not the best by any means, but man, I have.
Well, you got some street cred behind your ass.
You've the drive, man.
It
takes the drive.
In my opinion, spent time behind the camera and hunting with the best.
Arguably the best. I mean, like I said, we don't state facts, but. And my friend,
the industry ever seen. Now, there could be some old boy behind the road that nobody's ever seen. I'm talking that the public and the industry has ever seen. Les Johnson, hands down, best coyote killer there is. Yes. That the industry ever seen. And you spent time watching
world champion caller.
And then you come back to the wood lots and the small fields of northern Indiana, and you've brought that knowledge that you gained from being with him out west to here, and you've critiqued it. And then I, was with you guy, and then we critiqued it to where, hey, this is working. Yes. And we're killing. Like, that's all there is to it.
Yes. So, I'm going to go ahead and like I said, I'm all over the place, so just bear with me here. We'll get this a little more organized.
One more Modelo.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I do. I've got a little Modelo right here. And yes, I plan on drinking a couple more. That's if we don't go. We might go out calling tonight. We've got a crazy wind, and it's only what is it right now out there?
I think it's down to like 21 degrees.
Yeah, so it's
20 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, so we don't know what we're doing yet, but by no means do we go out drunk or do anything unsafe. No. It's not about that. But when we're sitting here and talking and he's got a wood stove, and man, it's just that cozy heat and sitting here, he's got beautiful deer on the wall and coyotes and turkey and stuff. And the thing about it is, I've been with him or at least been the call the next day to all this stuff with him and Sis. So But like I said, I've been jumping all over the place, but I got to get this out because I'm sure some of you want to hear this. But it's my story of meeting, still to this day, a very humble, farm boy from Nebraska. Just like, I'm not going to say and be specific, but just like my story, Les was the same way. He didn't come from money. He didn't come from, backgrounds of nothing. He was a little boy that loved to go out and trap and predator hunt and made himself what he is. And so I'm going to get into this cool little story I do want to tell, and I'm not going to talk about anything else until I get through this because I've done bounced off of it 3 or 4 times. Zach's giving me the stank eye over there. No. So it's like this, guys. Doing everything that I've done, getting out there in the stand, making mistakes, getting out there, calling, whatever I was doing. It was the outdoor, the passion of the outdoor. So I went to we'll mention this place too, Bass and Bucks. If you guys never checked it out, check them out online or whatever. It's Bass and Bucks here in Wabash, Indiana. They got a wonderful place out there. Rumor is, Glenn Butcher, the owner of Bass and Bucks, has teamed up with Greg Ritz, and I think somebody else maybe. I don't know the specifics. I don't want to, go there. I don't want to be telling no lies, but I do know this. They bought Thompson Center. They're bringing Thompson Center back. They're doing good things, but Bass and Bucks has online orders. They got about everything you could want or ask for in the outdoor, world. They are arguably, the nicest indoor archery range in the state of Indiana. They've got it going on. Anyway, I used to work there, okay, out of the military. I got out of the Marine Corps in 2001. I went over there and was working for them and then met some people, the Titmans. The Titmans are from Fort Wayne, great people. They had an outfitting in Quebec, Canada. It was bear hunts. They outfitted bear hunts. And I remember they were always looking for guys to go up there and help out. I'm like, let's do it. That's one thing I haven't done yet. Let me go do the bear thing. So we go up there, and man, they had a cool thing going up there. But anyway, so I did that for a couple years, and then Jack Titman, I haven't talked to him for ages, but a great guy, had a great desire to, just in the outdoor world. He's going to go to the SHOT Show and asked me if I wanted to go do a show with him. And I'm like, what? What's this going to cost me? He's like, what are you, fool? He goes, if you're going to go work the show with me, I get your pass and everything. It's for free. And I'm thinking, I'm going to go to Las Vegas to the SHOT Show. Hell yeah, let's go when we leaving. I remember Jack and I hooked the trailer up, loaded that son of a buck up, and this is where I was going to do my grand entrance into I'm going to be an outfitter in Indiana for whitetail, okay? So we drove, I don't know how many hours, and straight through to Las Vegas. We're at the SHOT Show. And, okay, I'm an oddball. I'm different. Like I said, I'm a woodsman. I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a country boy. All right. There's a lot of stuff in Vegas. I didn't care about gambling. I didn't care about none of that shit. You know what I wanted? I was hoping there was some chance that I could run into Les Johnson, my hero. I watched all the shows. I mean, his episodes were reruns now. This dude's, I just would love to just shake the dude's hand. And Randy Couture, old Randy Couture, UFC fighter, which most people know that, but that was who I wanted to meet. Right. So we're mingling with some people, drinking some beer, doing some things, and they're all like, "Hey, man, are you going to the Golden Moose Awards?" And I'm like, "Golden Moose Award? What's the Golden Moose Awards?" Well, the Golden Moose Awards, I think it's been long enough. It's been over 7 years. I don't think I'm getting arrested for anything, Zach.
You're good.
I think I'm good.
Hey, it's a podcast.
Yes.
Nobody listens.
Yeah,
anyways.
and I might be telling you guys bullshit. No, this is not bullshit. But I'm telling you. So we're drinking Golden Moose Award. What's the Golden Moose Award? The Outdoor Channel, man. That's the Outdoor Channel where Waddell and Jordan and juries, all them guys are getting awards, man. Jim Shockey, all of them, great people, by the way. So how do I get into this show? You can't. You got to have tickets. No bullshit. There's got to be a way. The doorman's going to get tired at some point, right?
There's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, so guess what? Don't ask me how I done it, but we sneak into the Golden Moose Awards. You can't make this shit up. So here I am. I'm in this place, starstruck, just looking at everybody in the industry. They're just all walking around, and there goes Lee, there's Tiffany, there's Waddell, there's T-Bone, there's Jim Shockey and his wife. Oh, there's Eva. Everybody's just walking, and you're just kind of like, whoa. Right. So I'm standing there, and I remember I'm drinking a little bit. I want to go around and just see what's going on. And I remember there was a circle, and it was just of your normal, your big timers in a circle. And I just kind of sneak in this circle, and it was almost as the way it seemed to me. And I've told Zach this and anybody else. So, unless I'm just good at telling the same story 100 times. They're all in a big circle drinking beer, and somebody would say something funny and everybody's laughing. And it seemed like this one time someone said something, everybody's laughing, and I was the last one to quit laughing. So as soon as everybody quits laughing and I'm still it's like they all looked at me and like, who the fuck is this guy? Does anybody know this guy? And I'm just like, oh, and I just I'm out. So I'm gonna go get another beer, and I get another beer, and I turn around, and all of a sudden there's this guy standing there, tall guy, and I'll tell you about that guy in a minute. Anyway, this guy is like, "Hey, man," and he's got a Predator Quest hat on, and I'm thinking, "La!" I'm like, "What? Where'd you get that hat?" He goes, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter, but anyway, where'd you get that, dude?" Tom Matzke. Anyway, old Matzke, he knows who he is. Anyway, so Matzke's like, it's Les Johnson, man. I know who it is. Do you know this guy? It's like, do you want to meet him? I said, do I want to meet him? Here we go. This dude, first of all, we go over, and there's Les. And he brings me up to him, and he said, "Hey, Les, this guy wants to meet you." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, man, how you doing? I'm from Wabash, and I'm trying to start an outfitting business. You should come to Indiana and deer hunt," which he did. But I'll tell you, when I met Les, most humble guy ever. Great dude, little hip pocket. I don't know. He comes up, he walleye fishes, he deer hunts and stuff. He comes to Indiana. So I'm hoping that we can get his ass in here some night, which we will. I don't care. We'll tie him up or something, but we'll get him in here. And let me tell you something. If you think I'm bullshitting, there's one thing about Les. You cannot deny his voice and the way he talks. So we'll have him on. We'll have him on a podcast, even if he wants to just come and bullshit. He is a legend in my mind. And let me jump back here because I don't want to get off track. But we're getting there.
Hey, you're starting to hit the switch here.
Yeah, can't do it. Nope. So seriously, but I met Les. And I remember I was showing him pictures and this and that. And you know what? The guy didn't know me from the man on the moon, but still gave me the respect to listen to me. Now, I could tell after about 10 minutes of me showing him coyote pictures and stuff, he's like, "Dude, you killed that in a year. I killed that in a night, whatever. But, hey, congrats." But he's still very humble and treated me with respect. And then I was like, "Yeah, man, coming to Vegas, the one thing I wanted to do was meet you and Randy Couture." And he goes, "Oh, you want to meet Randy?" So he takes me over to Randy Couture, and sure as shit, I got to talk and meet Randy Couture, and Les knew him really well, and he knows some other UFC fighters too. But Anyway, I kept in contact with him. I'm not going to bore you with all the bullshit, but I went to a lot of ATA shows. I went to, I went to the following year, went back to Vegas with him, become good friends with him. And like Zach said, the one thing that really changed me, not only as a man, but a person and everything else, is when I had the opportunity and I mean, just the golden opportunity, man, to go and run a camera. Now, you got to remember, I'm back here in Indiana sitting in tree stands, videoing myself with these little Canons, these little Sonys, DSLRs, whatever I could get my hands on and I could afford, teaching myself, okay, to do something that I did not even know was going to set me up for something that was the most memorable, awesome time in my life. No shit. I had no clue I would have the opportunity to run a camera for Les Johnson. Now, don't get me wrong. Les's brother always was pretty much his cameraman. But, you know, life is involved. His brother, you know, with work and some other stuff he was doing, you know, there was a little bit of opportunity for me to slide in there. Now, Jeff, friggin' one of the best cameramen I've ever met, one of the best dudes I've ever met as well. But
an eagle eye too.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you something right now.
Jeff Johnson has the best eye for spotting a coyote or anything that anybody I've ever met.
That was my hardest thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I started filming for Les, the hardest thing for me to do was pick a coyote out 500 yards away running through sagebrush and shit. Les would be like, "You see him?" I'm like, "What?
What we're at?"
Yeah. When I first started, I'm not going to lie. Les will tell you, you know, you see it? What? He's right there. And Les too. But boy, I had to learn that. I had to get the eye for that, Zach. I'm serious. That was tough. That was probably the toughest. Running the camera wasn't nothing. Getting B-roll, doing everything that I needed to do. And, you know, obviously I did a good job because he kept me around and my wife, you know, God bless her. I mean, for at that time, letting me go do that, go weeks at a time. I mean, I did some cool stuff with that man and become great friends with him. We're still great friends today. He is still my hero. I don't give a shit. Most humble dude you'd ever meet. Like I said, we will have him on a podcast. He's still outfitting in Kansas, Missouri. That's another thing, guys. I mean, he has a really nice place in Missouri and a really nice place in Kansas. He does run deer hunts. I'm not trying to promote him. Probably would kick my ass if he knows even saying anything about it, but he can, believe it or not, you can book a hunt with him and go up there and deer hunt with him and you won't regret it. He's good people. And I think, hell, we might even go up there next year. We're talking it, kicking it around. So, but that is how I met Les Johnson. But, you know, through this whole thing we were talking about, and you know, I'm not trying to hog the mic here, but it was great because Les, from his kind heart, and just taught me a lot and gave me an opportunity. And that's why I'm the same way. And that's why I couldn't wait to come back home, pass it on. Is that when Zach started showing interest, I'm like, yes. You know, my son, I got a son now that's, you know, getting to the age where he's really into all of it too. But I'll be honest, my son, you know, he was younger then. There was nobody that really did it around here. And I'd said, Zach, listen, you're going to go run a camera for me. I mean, you guys wouldn't believe the stuff that we did to get us where we're at now. And we're not finished. We're not near finished. We're still learning a lot. We're still getting where we need to be. We wanted to do this because, you know, we sit here, we'll go out coyote hunting, and I'm going to tell you what. One thing I can assure you, we may not kill the most coyotes all the time. We may not, we sure the hell don't know everything, but there is nobody that puts in the time and effort that this guy and I do. Zach, how many nights, sleepless nights? I mean, we call all the time. Now, we probably don't do in the summer as much as we should, but I'm going to tell you what, when it gets about November until about March, there is nobody that has logged more. Well, I can't say nobody, but if you have done what I'm talking about, you know what it took. Right?
Well, that's, now, like when Brandon will, he's kind of where we were a few years back. He's hot to try. He's out there all the time getting it. And it's like, I'm not saying
but he's trying.
Exactly.
He's out there he is.
What I'm getting after is like, we don't pound it quite. We go more quality than quantity anymore.
Yeah, but
because it's more or less
that,
like, we were going out when I first got my thermal. Those first 2 years, 5-6 nights a week from dark to dawn.
Yes.
From dusk to dawn, like nonstop. Didn't care what the weather was. Rain, snow, sleet, shine, didn't matter. We were going, going.
Yes.
And over all of that and all the trial and error and all, now it's like we can just sit back and we could probably go kill them, but it's like, man, it's, like it's 15 mile an hour and 21 degrees right now. Like, it's probably a good night calling. I guarantee you there's dogs you getting them on camera as we speak.
Yes.
But it's like, why beat ourselves up? We'll go when it's comfortable for us, and we'll hit our spots. We'll stack them in the back of the Ranger, the truck, or whatever, and come home. Like, and I think I don't know if that's maturing as a nighttime coyote hunter. Maybe it is.
I just think we feel like we've got more of the knack for it.
Right.
Just like we were going to make, Zach's like, I want to start doing podcasts. Good idea.
You're like, what the fuck's a podcast?
No, I know, in a sense, yeah. I just, because I am. I'm pushing 50 years old. I am a little bit old school. But it's just crazy because I wish I had the social media and podcast and all this stuff. You could learn. Listen, we're just a couple damn country boys sitting here talking about things. And I watch a lot of podcasts. I can't watch any of them. You got to give all them guys credit, man. Whoever you are, whatever, if you're taking your time, and I'm going to throw this in there. Remember, man, your time is the most precious thing you have. I don't give a shit about money, gold, silver, land, whatever. Your time is, whatever you do with your time, and it's constructive, trying to teach somebody, trying to, do what you love to do, sitting here like this, what we love to do, man, your time is the most valuable thing that you can give anybody. Okay. You can't buy it. You're never going to get it back. When it's gone, it's gone. So your time's valuable. So all you guys that do this, and I could say and name a million names, but thank you, because I learn a lot. Where I'm going with this is like, hell, I bought a new scope today. Okay, I don't need to talk about what, when, how, and all that, but I bought a new scope today, a little more sophisticated than I'm used to. It's got minutes and dials and all.
Your deer hunting scope.
Yes,
your daytime scope.
yes, yeah. It's for deer hunting, and I plan on doing some trips and stuff, but. I was sitting in the deer blind tonight, literally watching a YouTube video on zeroing it and some things I needed to know. Man, that you didn't have that back in the day. You had the Sportsman channel, Outdoor channel, and you didn't have all this stuff. So you had to put a little more into it. I think people are getting lazy with it. But all I can tell you, man, I've already said this 3 or 4 times. Get out and do it. Try it. Don't ask somebody how to do it A to Z, because I'm going to tell you what, no matter how, you're going to do it your way anyway. We all have our knack.
Well, that's kind of the point why I wanted to start this podcast, is there's so much bullshit out there to where, guys are trying to learn and want to do it, but they get discouraged so fast.
There's no wrong way.
There's so many assholes out there. There's no such thing as a dumb question. As
long as you're trying.
Yeah, I just seen the other day somebody was asking, got a new thermal, and they were wanting to know what guys zero in at. Holy shit balls. Yeah. The comments, every motherfucker on there was right and wrong. Like, they're just like, one guy's like 100 yards, one guy's 150, one guy's 2, and one guy's like, what the fuck, you're a goddamn idiot if you're doing it. It's like,
And then you get an argument.
who's to say that somebody's not like me? The comfortable target I have is 120 yards. I zero at 120 because my thought process is I'm going to be a little high closer, and I'm out at 300. I'm going to be like 5. What matters if I'm an inch and a half? So that makes me 5 inches low at 300. Well, if I'm right on at 100, that means I'm 6.5 low at 300. Well, if you're already aiming at the top of their fucking back, and really at the grand scheme of things, if a coyote's at 300 yards, then that means, A, it's just sitting there, so you got time to hit the ranger, range it, so you got time to calculate that in your head anyways. Or it's B, that some bitch is on a dead fucking run, and they're all Hail Mary shots anyways. So at the end of the day, does that really even matter? No. I mean, just sight it in for whatever distance. Brandon asked me today, man, what do you sight? Should I zero at 200? And I'm like, what's majority? You're the same as me. How do you kill majority of your coyotes? What, 150 yards and in? Yeah. Then that's probably where I'd sight it at 100. I mean, sight for what you're killing them at.
You got to make it yours.
Right.
I just had a gnat fly in my beard, so I'm doing a little swamperoo here.
A new Modelo.
I for some reason I seen a couple gnats, and then I'm like, I just got to look in my beer, and sure as shit, he's big fatty too. He's just floating in there.
That's just extra protein.
That bastard. But no, sorry to interrupt you. But it man, you got it. You got to try.
Yeah. Go out.
Like I said, I
pound
don't
pound the dirt.
I will help you if I
it.
know you're trying. But if you're just wanting me, if you think that you're just going to go out, turn a call on, and just mow them down, man, just find something else to do. Goes with anything. But
Well, it's how good you want to be. And
Exactly.
that's one thing that I can't stress enough, and I've said before in previous podcasts, is some of the hands down killers that I've had the privilege of meeting that are just coyote, just consistent. And I'm not saying guys that are locking 30 or 40 in the bed of their truck I'm talking about the guys that consistently, when they go out, they're getting results. And the thing that all of them have in common is they learn from their mistakes. They go out, just because they got their ass handed to them one night, they're going back home and they're studying. They're figuring out,
that always fueled my fire.
why did I get my ass handed to me?
That's right.
Like, I don't know how many times we've sat there after calling all night, talking on the phone for another hour. Like, why do you think this one did this? Why do you think they did this? Why do you think they did that? The next day, what are we doing? What we're talking about we're talking about incidences we had maybe a year ago. Like, man, do you remember that one last time we called that the cur or the barn? Man, they were coming in like this. Why is it all of them are using that? They disappear. They're using that ditch. They're coming up. And then we start putting all these little pieces of puzzle together. So now when we go to spots, it's like, hey, 9 times out of 10, the fucking coyotes are coming from right this way. Yep. And they're going to hit this. When we were calling out there at the curve, and you were like, hey, remember, if they coming up like they're going to disappear, we're putting that, reminding each other in that. One guy's watching this, the other guy's doing this. So that way, when they come in and they disappear, then it's like, okay, we know they're going to, you can just kind of relax, go ahead and swing your gun an extra 40, 50 yards because odds are they're coming up there.
Yeah.
And what did that double? That's where they came up at.
Yep.
And then a dumbass me, we would have had a perfect double. What did I do? I forgot to put the bolt down on my gun.
Yeah. But we always put our bolts up for safety.
We got one out of two.
We do. I mean,
we got one out of two.
Yeah, that gun can't fire if the bolt's up.
That was my rookie fucking mistake. But
for the night, yeah.
Right.
Because we're over them, right? Remember?
Yeah.
Holy shit, though. I mean,
but it's shit like that. But that was that was the first night that you and I've been out this year, wasn't it?
Maybe
second?
if not the second, but
right.
So yeah, and
knocking the rust off, and you can't speak enough for having the same person go with you.
But you know what, though? Did what we made the best of it, and we laughed about it. We still killed a coyote, but
Right.
we joked about it. And hell, I was ragging you about it the rest of the night.
Right.
But it happens. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes the biggest failures, they stick, and you don't make the mistake again. And
Right.
that has been, and I still make the damn mistakes. And I'm okay with it. You know why?
Right.
Because I'm still out there doing what I love to do. And that's why I was so, glad to see you were eager to put something like this together, because, we're really going to be doing a lot of these, and, even if it's for our sake, man. I know we're going to have guys that like this just natural, just there's nothing scripted. We don't talk about what we're going to talk about, because if you think that, then there's something wrong. Trust me, because I was all over the place earlier. I know this, but that's because I'm not going to lie. The stuff I don't do anything I'm not passionate about, and when I'm passionate about it, oh man, I'll wear you out. I don't care. I'm serious. Anybody that knows me well enough. I'm just a good old boy that I love to pass on information. I love to see success. I'm the guy that walks in a building. There's a football game on. Who's losing? I hope they come back and win. I'm just, that's I've always been that way.
Guys out. There's too much knowledge. I mean, like you said, and I say it over again, is we don't know everything. That's definitely a given. I mean, over time, people listening, they're going to learn, like, these guys are fucking idiots.
But we have fun, and
But the thing is there's still. I'm not afraid to talk about my mistakes. I'm not afraid to talk about what I screwed up, leaving my bolt up, or whatever. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what's working for us. And then somebody out there's listening to this. And then
maybe they'll learn something.
You're right. And it feels like they're in the, like a deer camp or a coyote camp with us, like sitting here listening, being like, oh man, hey,
Hey, if I can help one out of 100
these
people.
idiots can do it, I can do it.
If I can help one out of 100 people, I'm fine.
Exactly.
With it, man. I just want success. We're and then that's one thing. Even though, I'm a veteran, I love my country. There's times that, I love my flag, but there's times I'm ashamed of it. I'm not going to lie to you. You will never hear me argue politics or religion. That's why we live in the United States, and that's why we have these freedoms like we talked about earlier. But we can agree to disagree. Hell, Zach and I do it. We don't always, it ain't always agreeing on everything. We agree to disagree. Even though, there's things that I've ways that I've taught him, not because it was the right way or wrong way. It was because it was my way. And I know he does things a little bit different, but he's made it his own. That's what it's about. You can learn something from somebody, make it your own. No matter how you do it.
When I had Josh on the podcast, we were talking about his coyote hunting partner, and we were talking sounds. And it's funny because it's like him and his partner, when it comes to sounds, is kind of like how we are. Josh is like, he's like, man, I lean more towards the vocal side.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, so do I. And he's like, yeah, but he's like, my partner, man, like he's distressed. He's distressed.
Love distress. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's how Bill. I'm like, that's how Bill is. Which that's how's Les, man. Les doesn't do too many vocals. He's distressed. And that's probably like how that bleeds over. And
yes.
Like just how things go. But it's so fitting because what was that stand we were on? I forget where the hell we were at. That coyote was hung up out there. And I think I had on like a pup distress or something like that. And it was still sitting out there. And I stopped the call and it was quiet for a minute. And I just reached down, I looked, and I'm like, I'm just going to flip on a lip squeak. And I no more hit play on that lip squeak. And I literally heard you snap around. And you're like, dude, I was just about ready to tell you to do that. He said, that's freaky. That's freaky.
I'll be honest. It was the other night. To be honest, it was the other night, and gosh, I forget where we were. We
I
do so
forget
many
the stand
stats.
we were on.
And that's the other thing. You know, I want to go back so I don't forget it, because this is another tip. Okay, you take it how you want, but you were talking about wind. This is the deal, guys. If you go to a place, and let's say you got your favorite place that like us, we go to the barn. Really, there's only one place to stand at the barn, and that is right up against it on the north side of it. And because just the rest of it's a great big hill. Anyway, it's the only place you can stand, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you a quiz here. All right, so you're driving around. You know you can kill them at the barn. You pull up to the barn, and the wind's wrong. What do? Hey, here's an idea. Just don't call it. Don't call it. You don't got to. You don't got to force it. If you can't, most land that we have 2 or 3 ways we can call it. The barn is not one of them. The barn is the barn. And if the wind's not right, we just don't call it. Don't try to force it and make it rough for the next time or the next couple times. Just don't call it. And if you're able to switch it up somehow. I was just using that as a point because, the barn is the barn. But we also know, if you know what I mean, it's put it this way. If you can't skip a few spots and call a few different ones or take something and make it different, set it different so you got a good crosswind or whatever, then you probably need to focus on getting you some more land and stuff. I promise you, man, just be nice and respectful. Farmers, I think they're cool with letting you kill the coyotes, most of them. But like I said, it's all about how you present yourself, and it really is how you handle yourself. Don't go up there like some, straight up killer and that you're going to do this and that. I mean, just tell them what you're doing. But also, man,
well, I think a big tip on going in, especially if you're like in like cattle country or something, because I know a lot of cattle guys around here. At first they were like, I don't want you calling around, because they didn't quite understand, how thermals like that's. I mean, especially 4 or 5 years ago, that was kind of foreign to almost everybody. But like a tip I started using when I'd run into these guys, at the coffee shop, I help a lot of them farm. But I'd just start showing them videos. And I'd be purposely, on some of our places we'd said, I'd be purposely videoing cattle or horses. And then when I'd see these guys, I'd show them, like, see? And they'd be like, well, hell, you can see, like, that cow's as clear as, you can tell. And I'm like, see, I'm not going to you can decipher the difference. Just showing them videos of my kills and coyotes running in and different stuff. Then they could understand what I'm doing and what I'm looking at.
There's no doubt.
And that eased up a lot of attention, as far as when they'd be like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Go ahead and call that. Or you can have this. Well, then calling this farm and this farm is now led into I call all of their ground because they're not afraid for me to be around their livestock or,
well, that's
being respectful of going to these hog houses. A lot of guys disease carrying. They don't want you going from house to house, and it's like, hey, man, we don't get right. We go back your lane. We don't go right up against the house.
Explain to them, yes. Right. Explain to them what you're going to do. And God forbid, don't leave out. Don't leave out that, did I mention that I hunt them at 1, 2, 3 in the morning?
Right.
Don't leave that out because we've ran into that. Hey, can we coyote hunt? Sure. Hell yeah, kill them all. You get a phone call the next day. What the hell are you thinking? What are you talking about? Why the hell was you out there blaring a goddamn call, pulling down my driveway at 2 in the morning? Well, that's what we do. You didn't say that. The older people tend to not like that. And you know what? And I'm not going to speak for deer hunting. I'm not going to speak for turkey hunting because, man, like I said, land is hard to come by. But I will tell you, usually if you get told no about coyote hunting, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, either somebody's already hunting it, or, no matter whether it's a relative or somebody already beat you to the punch, whatever, two things. Either one, somebody's already hunting it, or somebody done fucked it up.
Right. Exactly. That's the big one.
It is. Somebody done went in there and did something stupid. Like I said, didn't tell them they were there at 2:00 in the morning, or was shooting right beside their house and kaboom. You know what I mean? So what I'm getting at is, don't be afraid to go ask, but be thorough and true on what you're going to do. Don't leave it out. Am I right, Zach?
Exactly. Let them know where you're going to make, like, hey, I want to call this farm here. I'm just going to sit right here, and I'm going to call them back here. I'll be away from the house. Is there any, and find out, hey, you got a dog? Does your dog run? Does your dog run
Good
around
one,
at
Zach.
night?
Yes.
And it's not so much like
Gosh.
a lot of people think like, oh, it's because you're going to shoot their dog. It's not so much that. How many dogs inside somebody's house? When we're calling 100 yards away
You
from,
can just hear them.
fuck yeah. Then it's like,
that'll really piss somebody off.
I've got a lot of good spots, so do you, that we don't even call because there's no way to really call it. But there's houses right there where these people have inside dogs, and as soon as we turn that call on, I don't care if that son of a bitch is on 5.
They hear it.
No, and then dogs start going down, and then you start seeing lights come on inside that house. It's like, well, fuck. Yeah, you could be
Exit stage left.
And I know there's people
wasn't
out there.
us.
There's people out there that are like, oh, fuck them. I got permission to be there. But it's like, it's also be respectful.
Yeah, and watch what, like, no matter if you're at nighttime or whatever, watch, remember what's 400 or 500 yards on the other side of what you're shooting, man.
Right.
I mean, how many times have we heard from farmers and stuff around here? Their bedroom or their barn or whatever got whole bullet holes in them.
Right.
Damn, man. I mean, if that's happening, you're either shooting direct line of something you shouldn't, or you're shooting way too far. Let them come in, man. If I had any advice, again, let them come in. Most of you get too giddy. Let them come in. If them son of a bitches want to come and get a Scooby snack out of your hand, let them do it. Get them on the way out.
Less you got to drag them.
That's right. Let them come in.
Well, we just had, I need to put that video up on the YouTube channel, but we just had that instance the other night. That coyote came in, which we're going to get in this topic here on part 2 of this episode, but that coyote, they were coming in so hardcore downwind. I mean, these coyotes were wrapping us big time trying to get our wind. This dog slipped in, and he came in right at the perfect spot to where it was barn, house. I guarantee there's a lot of people would have shot at that coyote. I got badass video of him in a fox sitting right there, a fox and a coyote, and both of them. And it's just like,
you held on. The
odds are you could shoot him.
75, 60, 75 yards. And
if I'd missed that
most
thing,
likely you
right in
would
their fucking house.
99% chance you would have flattened him, but
Right.
it wasn't the end of the world. Right. Yeah.
Because it's like if I piss that farmer off and I put a barn or a hole through his barn or something, we just lost 4,000 acres worth of hunting ground.
Guarantee you, because
Right
they
there,
all
gone.
talk. Yeah.
Over what? It's one stupid coyote.
Yep.
It ain't worth it.
No doubt.
All right, we're gonna wrap this one up here, and then have part 2 coming back at you. So, any part?
Just remember, call them till you can't.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. Everybody get out, shoot straight. Goodbye.